coming to you directly from the CP studio, my first draft of a personalized podcast. Okay, this is me starting. I've opened up my Chrome. I got the extension for audio, and I'm going to do some work. Let's try this out. Hi there. I want to produce a podcast for a friend of mine by using the GPT audio. So I'm looking for a step-by-step outline for a podcast. Whoops, audio gap while GPT is typing.
Producing a podcast using GPT-3. 5 audio is an interesting idea, but as of my last update in September 2021, GPT-3 5 is primarily a language model, and there might be some limitations in generating audio. However, I can provide you with a step-by-step outline for creating a podcast in general, and you can use GPT-3 5 to generate the script or transcripts for the podcast. Here's a basic outline to get you started. Define your podcast concept. Decide on the podcast's niche or theme. What will your podcast be about? It could be anything from storytelling to interviews, news, educational content, or even fictional dramas. Identify your target audience and understand what they might be interested in. Planning and research and brainstorm ideas for episodes. Create a list of potential topics to cover in your podcast. Plan the format of each episode, including the structure and estimated duration. Gather relevant information and resources for each episode. Script writing. Use GPT-3 5 or any other language model to generate scripts or transcripts for your podcast episodes. Write compelling and engaging scripts that follow the format you planned earlier. Ensure the content is clear, concise, and well organized. Recording equipment and setup. Invest in a good quality microphone, headphones, and recording software. Find a quiet and acoustically treated space for recording to minimize background noise. Recording and editing. Record your podcast episodes using the prepared scripts. You can use software like Audacity, Adobe Audition, or GarageBand for recording and editing. Edit the recordings to remove any mistakes, pauses, or unwanted noise. Add intro, outro music, or any additional sound effects if desired. Branding and music. Create podcast artwork that represents your podcast visually. Choose suitable music or jingles for your podcast to create a consistent brand identity. Hosting and distribution. Choose a podcast hosting platform to upload your episodes. Popular options include Libsyn, Podbean, and Anchor. Submit your podcast to directories like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, etc. Promotion and marketing. Share your podcast on social media platforms and relevant online communities. Encourage your listeners to leave reviews and ratings on podcast directories. Consider collaborations or guest appearances on other podcasts to expand your audience. Engaging with your audience. Respond to listener feedback and comments. Consider having a website or social media page for your podcast where listeners can interact and stay updated. Remember, while GPT-3 5 can assist in generating scripts, it's crucial to review and edit the content for accuracy and coherence. Also, always comply with copyright and licensing regulations when using any audio or music in your podcast. Happy podcasting!
This is more of a new concept which I'm calling personal podcasting. So the podcast is really a more detailed, more enhanced version of a podcast, but to one person in particular, to my friend. So I'm going to ignore any licensing, promoting, marketing, all that. All I need is just general information from me to him about something we share an interest in.
Creating a personalized podcast for your friend is a wonderful idea. It allows you to share a special and unique experience, tailored specifically for them. Below is a step-by-step outline for creating your personal podcast. Identify shared interests. Choose a specific topic or interest that you both share a passion for. It could be a hobby, a favorite book, a movie, a sport, a particular field of knowledge, or any other subject you both enjoy. Plan your content. Create a rough plan for the podcast episodes. Think about the main aspects of the shared interest you want to cover and how you can break it down into episodes. Personal touch and stories. Personalize the podcast by including stories and anecdotes from your shared experiences related to the interest. This will make the podcast more engaging and meaningful for your friend. Recording and editing. Use your chosen recording setup to record the episodes. Since it's a personal podcast, you can speak directly to your friend as if you're having a conversation with them. Add special elements. Enhance the podcast with elements that are meaningful to your friendship. For example, you can include inside jokes, references to memorable moments, or special dedications. Guest contributions, optional. If you have other friends or acquaintances who share the same interest, consider inviting them as guests to add variety and different perspectives to some episodes. Quality and presentation. Pay attention to audio quality and editing to ensure your friend has a pleasant listening experience. Share the podcast. Choose a secure and private way to share the podcast episodes with your friend. You can use file sharing services or even burn the episodes onto a CD or USB drive if they prefer physical media. Request feedback after your friend has had a chance to listen to the podcast. Ask for their feedback and thoughts. This can be a wonderful opportunity to strengthen your bond and discuss the shared interest further. Continuation and updates. If you and your friend enjoy the personalized podcast, consider creating additional episodes in the future. You can explore new aspects of your shared interest or delve deeper into existing topics. Remember, the goal of this personal podcast is to create a heartfelt and intimate experience for your friend. Let your passion and enthusiasm for the shared interest shine through, and the podcast will undoubtedly be a memorable and cherished gift for your friend.
Okay, that helped a lot. To make it more specific, my friend and I are working on a very specific project. This podcast hopefully will be able to share the GPT information in an audio format so that my friend doesn't have to read through pages and pages of text and can just listen to the information about the dialogue we're having on an audio. So my input really is from my conversation and our dialogue with me and ChatGPT.
I see. That makes it more specific, and it's a great idea to create an audio format for sharing information about your project with your friend. To create the podcast that shares the GPT information in an audio format, here's an updated step-by-step outline. Project introduction. Start the podcast with a warm introduction, explaining the purpose of the podcast and what it aims to achieve. Let your friend know that the podcast will be a convenient way for them to stay updated on the project. Personalized dialogue. Have a conversation with the GPT language model, ChatGPT, about the project. Ask questions and seek information related to the project, and let GPT provide detailed answers and explanations. Breaking down information. If the project involves complex concepts or technical details, break down the information into easily digestible segments. Make sure GPT explains these concepts in a clear and understandable manner. Examples and use cases. Provide real-life examples and use cases related to the project. This can help your friend better understand the practical applications and implications of the work you're doing. Updates and progress. Use the podcast to share updates on the project's progress. This can include milestones achieved, challenges faced, and plans for the future. Addressing concerns. If your friend has any specific concerns or questions about the project, discuss them with GPT during the podcast. Use this opportunity to address any doubts and provide reassurance. Conversational tone. Keep the podcast conversation light, engaging, and friendly. Remember that the primary audience is your friend, so make them feel comfortable and involved throughout the audio. Q&A segment. Consider having a Q&A segment where your friend can directly ask questions to GPT, and the model can respond accordingly. Add personal touches just like before, include personal anecdotes and stories related to the project. This will make the podcast more enjoyable and memorable for your friend. Encourage feedback after sharing the podcast with your friend. Ask for their feedback and suggestions. This will help you improve future episodes and ensure the content meets their needs. Future episodes depending on the length and complexity of the project. Plan for future episodes to continue the dialogue and keep your friend updated on new developments. Remember, the key here is to create an engaging and informative experience for your friend while sharing the GPT-generated information in a conversational manner. Keep the content relevant and focused on the project, and your personalized podcast will be a valuable resource for your friend as you work together on your specific endeavor.
Excellent. I intend to add graphics and music, any additional information, and also clean up this narration by taking out some of the coughs and pauses, and to make the experience of listening, especially listening while driving, to be enhanced by being focused and specific on the actual project that we're working on.
Adding graphics and music to your personalized podcast is a fantastic idea. It can further enhance the listening experience and make the content more engaging. Here are some additional tips to help you with the graphics, music, and overall audio enhancement. Graphics and visuals. Create visual elements such as slides, infographics, or images that complement the podcast's content. These visuals can provide a quick summary of key points or display data related to the project. Time the visuals to align with the audio content. For example, if you're discussing a specific milestone or achievement, show a corresponding image or graph at that moment in the podcast. Background music and sound effects. Choose background music that suits the tone and theme of the podcast. Instrumental tracks are often preferred to avoid distracting from the spoken content. Use sound effects sparingly but strategically to enhance important moments or transitions in the podcast. Audio editing. Invest time in audio editing to remove unnecessary pauses, filler words, like etc., and any background noise that might disrupt the listening experience. Use audio editing software to adjust the volume levels and ensure a consistent sound throughout the podcast. Consider adding intro and outro music to give the podcast a professional touch. Chapter markers. If your podcast is quite long or covers multiple topics related to the project, consider adding chapter markers. These markers will help your friend navigate easily through the content and find specific sections of interest. Clear articulation and pronunciation. Ensure that both you and the GPT language model speak clearly and pronounce words accurately. This will help your friend grasp the information easily, especially if they are listening while driving or doing other activities. Test the listening experience. Before finalizing the podcast, listen to it yourself in various scenarios, such as while driving, walking, or doing household chores. Note any areas that might need improvement or adjustments to ensure a seamless listening experience. Consider transcripts. Alongside the audio podcast, consider providing written transcripts of each episode. This will offer an additional way for your friend to review the information and refer back to specific details. Keep it conversational. Even with the addition of graphics and music, maintain the conversational tone of the podcast. It should feel like a friendly and informative chat rather than a formal presentation. Remember to strike a balance between the various elements you include, ensuring that the primary focus remains on your project and the information you want to share with your friend. By following these tips, you can create an exceptional personalized podcast that provides an enriched and enjoyable listening experience while driving or during any other activity. Good luck with your project and happy podcasting.
Whoops, audio gap while GPT is typing.
It sounds like you have an amazing friend with a diverse range of experiences and interests. Given his background, I'm sure he'll appreciate the effort you've put into creating a personalized podcast for your shared project. Here are a few additional tips to consider when sharing the audio information with him. Set the context. Before sharing the podcast, provide a brief introduction or context about why you created it and how it can benefit him in his understanding of the project. Let him know that you value his feedback and insights. Timing and privacy. Choose an appropriate time to share the podcast when your friend can listen to it without distractions. Since it's a personalized podcast meant specifically for him, consider giving him the privacy to listen at his convenience. Openness to feedback. Encourage your friend to share his thoughts openly and honestly. Let him know that you're open to any feedback, positive or constructive, and that you value his perspective. Discuss specifics. After he has listened to the podcast, take the opportunity to have a follow-up conversation. Discuss specific points in the podcast that you think might interest him the most or areas where you'd like his thoughts and insights. Appreciate his input. Acknowledge and appreciate his experiences and varied expertise. Your friend's diverse background can add valuable perspectives to the project, so let him know that you value his input. Brainstorming and collaboration. Since you both share a keen interest in the project, consider using the podcast as a starting point for further brainstorming and collaboration. Discuss new ideas and potential directions that his input might inspire. Celebrate shared interests. Emphasize the joy of working together on a project that you both find interesting. Celebrate the shared passions and the opportunity to learn from each other. Stay curious and open-minded. Be genuinely curious about his thoughts and experiences related to the project. Stay open-minded and embrace the opportunity to grow and evolve the project based on your collective insights. Remember, the purpose of this personalized podcast is to deepen your connection and collaboration with your friend while sharing valuable information about the project. The process of sharing and discussing the podcast can be an enriching experience in itself. So, be patient, listen actively, and enjoy the journey of exploring your shared interest together. Best of luck, and I hope your friend appreciates the thoughtful effort you put into this project.
Thank you. Can you please review and summarize our discussion, this dialogue, and share a step-by-step process for delivering the material in a simple and easy manner?
Certainly. Let's review and summarize our discussion about creating a personalized podcast to deliver the material to your friend in a simple and easy manner. Step-by-step process for delivering the material. Identify shared interest. Choose a specific project or topic that both you and your friend are passionate about. Project introduction. Begin the podcast with a warm introduction, explaining the purpose of the podcast and its focus on the shared project. Personalized dialogue. Have a conversation with the GPT language model, ChatGPT, about the project, seeking information and explanations related to the topic. Break down information. Simplify complex concepts and technical details to make them easily understandable. Add personal touch. Include personal anecdotes and stories related to the project to create a more engaging experience. Address concerns. Discuss any specific concerns or questions your friend may have about the project. Graphics and visuals. Create visual elements like slides, infographics, or images that complement the podcast's content. Background music and sound effects. Choose suitable background music and consider using sound effects to enhance important moments or transitions. Clear articulation and pronunciation. Speak clearly and ensure both you and the GPT model pronounce words accurately. Audio editing. Edit the podcast to remove pauses, filler words, and background noise for a seamless listening experience. Timing and privacy. Share the podcast at an appropriate time, allowing your friend to listen to it privately. Encourage feedback. Request your friend's feedback and insights, showing appreciation for his valuable input. Follow-up discussion. Have a follow-up conversation to discuss specific points and ideas from the podcast. Brainstorming and collaboration. Use the podcast as a starting point for further brainstorming and collaboration on the project. Celebrate shared interests. Emphasize the joy of working together on a project that interests both of you. Stay curious and open-minded. Be genuinely curious about your friend's thoughts and experiences, staying open-minded to new ideas and perspectives. By following this step-by-step process, you can create an engaging and informative personalized podcast that delivers the material to your friend in a simple and easy-to-understand manner. The podcast will be a valuable resource for both of you to explore and work together on your shared interests while strengthening your bond and collaboration. Happy podcasting!
Okay, that's about finished. So I'm going to stop now and edit the audio, add the graphics, and be able to deliver that through email to my friend. I'm looking forward to the feedback and maybe setting a follow-up to discuss GPT audio and the creating of a podcast.
That sounds like an excellent plan. It's wonderful to hear that you're nearly finished with creating your personalized podcast. Editing the audio, adding graphics, and preparing everything for delivery will undoubtedly enhance the overall experience for your friend. Once you send the podcast to your friend, I'm sure he'll appreciate the effort you've put into making this special gift. The follow-up discussion to discuss the DPT audio and the process of creating the podcast will likely be an enriching and insightful conversation for both of you. Remember to stay open to feedback and be ready for any potential questions or discussions your friend may have. It's an exciting opportunity to bond over your shared interests and explore new possibilities. I wish you the best of luck with your podcast delivery and the follow-up conversation. If you have any more questions or need further assistance in the future, don't hesitate to reach out. Happy podcasting and enjoy your journey of exploring the world of personalized audio content.
I've just had a final thought. I can also include a PDF of the text version of this conversation.
Including a PDF of the text version of your conversation is an excellent idea. This additional element will complement the personalized podcast and provide your friend with a written reference to the valuable insights and discussions you've had. Here are some suggestions for preparing the PDF. Formatting. Organize the text version in a clear and readable format. Use headings, bullet points, and paragraphs to structure the content for easy navigation. Title and introduction. Begin the PDF with a title that reflects the topic of your conversation. Include a brief introduction explaining that it complements the personalized podcast you've created. Transcript. If possible, include a full or summarized transcript of the podcast. This way, your friend can read along while listening to the audio, making it easier to follow along and grasp the key points. Key highlights. Highlight the most important insights, ideas, and discoveries from your conversation. This will make it easier for your friend to quickly refer to the main takeaways. Visual elements. If there are any visual elements discussed in the conversation, such as images, graphics, or diagrams, include them in the PDF for reference. Q&A segment. If you had a Q&A segment in the podcast, reproduce the questions and answers in the PDF. This will make it convenient for your friend to review specific topics. Personalization. Just like in the podcast, add a personal touch to the PDF by including any inside jokes or references that are relevant to your friendship or shared experiences. Closing message. End the PDF with a closing message expressing your appreciation for your friend's collaboration and encouragement to discuss the content further. By providing the text version alongside the audio podcast, you're offering your friend the flexibility to engage with the content in a way that best suits them. Some people might prefer reading, while others enjoy listening or doing both in tandem. Your attention to detail and thoughtfulness in creating both the audio and text versions of the conversation will surely make this personalized gift even more meaningful and valuable to your friend. Good luck with the final touches, and I hope your friend enjoys the thoughtful and unique experience you've prepared.
Whoops, audio gap. while GPT is typing.
Of course, here are 10 key bullet points to cover the main highlights of our conversation. Personalized podcast creation for a shared project, using GPT-3. 5 audio to deliver information in an engaging manner. Step-by-step outline for podcast production, planning, scripting, recording, editing, and adding personal touches. Enhancements for an exceptional listening experience, graphics, music, sound effects, and audio editing to remove pauses and background noise. Addressing your friend's varied experiences, appreciating his background as an artist, teacher, business development officer, and carpenter. Openness to feedback and constructive input, valuing your friend's insights and encouraging active discussions. Privacy and convenient timing for podcast sharing, giving your friend the freedom to listen at his convenience. Follow-up discussion to explore new ideas, using the podcast as a starting point for brainstorming and collaboration. Celebrating shared interests and passion for the project, strengthening your bond through a meaningful experience. Sharing the text version as a PDF, providing a written reference to the insights and discussions. Excitement for future follow-ups and continued collaboration, looking forward to further exploring DPT audio and podcasting. These key points will help your friend grasp the essence of our conversation and the valuable insights shared, making it easier for him to engage with the personalized podcast and the accompanying PDF. I wish you the best of luck with your podcast delivery and the subsequent discussions. You're welcome. I'm glad I could assist you. If you have any more questions or need further help in the future, don't hesitate to reach out. Best of luck with your personalized podcast and the exciting project you're working on with your friend. Have a great day.